What if the breakfast bowl you're serving with a smile is staring back at your loved ones with a hidden danger? One that could affect not just their immediate health, but their nervous system as well. Today, we're uncovering the truth about oats, a staple in many of our kitchens, especially when it comes to feeding our kids and grandkids. You've seen the title, you've seen the shocking thumbnail. Now, let's talk about why that smile might not be as healthy as we thought. Recent reports are stirring concerns about glyphosate levels in oats as a potential carcinogen and the possible neurological effects of this chemical. We think you should know the full story. Did you know that glyphosate has been flagged as a possible cancer-causing agent by the World Health Organization? They've especially linked it to a kind of cancer known as non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a pretty serious health scare. Glyphosate isn't just about potentially increasing your cancer risk, it can directly irritate your body. If it gets on your skin or you breathe it in, you might feel it burn or itch. If it splashes in your eyes, they could end up red and sore. And if you swallow it, that's when it can cause some real trouble inside, like burning in your mouth, throat pain, even making you feel sick or throwing up. But the concerns with glyphosate go deeper, affecting more than just the immediate discomforts. When we're talking about reproductive and developmental problems, studies suggest that this chemical could be a culprit behind birth defects and troubles with pregnancy. There's a reason for everyone, especially those who are pregnant or thinking about kids, to take note here. And we can't overlook the neurological impact. Glyphosate may be toxic to the nervous system. That means it could potentially be triggering oxidative stress. Imagine it like rusting inside the body and causing inflammation or even damaging the brain cells. This could play out as changes in behavior or difficulties in movement control, and that's a huge concern. For those eating glyphosate-based products, it's not just about a one-time exposure. Regular consumption might lead to chronic breathing issues like irritation in the nose or even asthma. And we have to talk about the endocrine system. Glyphosate is known to mess with the body's hormonal harmony, which can severely impact a whole lot of bodily functions. Glyphosate has been found to impact male fertility. How? By affecting the vitality and movement of sperm, which is essential for conception. Then there's immunity, especially crucial for children who are still building their defenses against the world's germs. Glyphosate might interfere with that, making it tougher for their bodies to fight infections or recover from injury. Considering that inflammation is often an opening for cancer and that glyphosate may encourage that very inflammation, it raises red flags about its role in such diseases. So what about the gut, our internal ecosystem? It turns out glyphosate could be throwing off the balance there too. It's designed to attack a pathway that our human cells don't have, but is crucial for the microbes that help us digest food and stay healthy. Unfortunately, the good bacteria in our gut are more susceptible to glyphosate than the bad ones, and while this info comes from studies with higher levels of glyphosate than we find in food, it still leaves us questioning the safety of even the smaller amounts. Now we turn our attention to the substance itself. What exactly is glyphosate? To understand its widespread impact, we must journey back to its origins. Back in 1974, a chemical called glyphosate was introduced to the farming world. It's been nearly half a century, and it turns out this stuff might be doing more harm than good. Glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup, a weed killer that's pretty much everywhere. And guess what? It's the most used herbicide in the world. So what do oats have to do with this? Well, it turns out these grains are soaking up more glyphosate than most other crops. And here's why. Farmers found a shortcut. They started using glyphosate not just when the oats were fully grown, but also earlier to make them ripen quickly. This trick cuts down the growing time, but there's a catch. It also means our oats end up with a lot more glyphosate on them. When oats are sprayed just before being picked, they don't have time to break down the glyphosate. So the chemical just sits there, and then it can end up in your breakfast bowl. In 2018, a report by the Environmental Working Group, or EWG for short, rang alarm bells for everyone who loves oats. They found out that a weed killer called glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup, was in nearly all oat-based products made from regular, conventionally grown oats. Now, that's unsettling enough, but here's the kicker. If you were buying organic oats thinking you were safe, you might still not be in the clear. The EWG report threw a curveball when it showed that even organic oat products had glyphosate. About a third of organic oat samples tested positive for this toxic stuff. So on August 15, 2018, the EWG went public with this report that shows out of 45 oat products they checked out, 43 had glyphosate. They didn't stop at conventional oats. They also looked at 16 organic oat products. And glyphosate was there too, in about a third of them. Now, the good news is the levels were lower in organic oats, below the danger line, but still, it's there. It's not just the EWG talking about this. The Detox Project, along with Food Democracy Now!, has a lab that usually works for the FDA to test a bunch of foods, including ones that are organic and non-GMO. And guess what? They found glyphosate there too. Now, let's dive a bit deeper into the numbers and regulations that surround this issue. Here's where it gets a bit technical, but stick with me because it's crucial. The EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, has set what they call a tolerable limit for glyphosate in oats. It's 30 parts per million. That's a bit more than Europe's limit, which is 20 parts per million. Now, opinions vary on what's safe and what's not when it comes to eating glyphosate. In the US, the recommended safe daily intake is 1.75 milligrams per kilogram of your body weight. Europe thinks it should be less, only 0.3 milligrams. Despite these limits, the discussion on whether glyphosate is harmful to humans isn't settled. Groups like the EPA say it's safe if used properly, and it probably doesn't cause cancer. But not everyone agrees. The International Agency for Research on Cancer thinks it might cause cancer, labeling glyphosate as a probable carcinogen. And the Environmental Working Group is even more cautious, suggesting much lower limits to reduce cancer risk. In 2020, the EPA stated that glyphosate is unlikely to be a human carcinogen if used according to the label directions. But here's something to think about. It's not just oats. Glyphosate has been found in oat-based products like oatmeal, cereals, granola bars, and snack bars. Even famous brands like Quaker Oats and Cheerios were on the list with higher than average levels. It was also found in pasta, buckwheat, barley, and even beans like kidney beans and chickpeas. Let's talk about why this matters beyond just our bowl of oats. Glyphosate doesn't just sit there, it's actively harming our environment. It's a big reason why we're seeing fewer plants and animals around, messing up the whole ecosystem. Earthworms, which are super important for keeping our soil healthy, they're not fans of glyphosate either. But before you go tossing out all your oats, here's something to keep in mind. Not all oats are harmful. Organic oats are a different story. Despite the warnings about glyphosate, organic oats are a nutritional powerhouse. They're loaded with beta-glucans, which are great for lowering cholesterol, and avenanthramides, which have anti-inflammatory properties. It's crucial to note that the timing of when oats ripen naturally is when they develop their beta-glucans. But if you use glyphosate to speed up ripening, you're likely getting less of this good stuff. That's a big reason why some major oat buyers like Grain Millers Inc. in Western Canada have said no to oats treated with glyphosate. They want their oats to be genuinely healthy, and that means they need those beta-glucans. So what should you do? Stick to organic oats. They have less amounts of glyphosate, and you get all the health benefits oats are known for. When you're out shopping, look for that organic label to make sure you're getting the best for yourself and your family. Here are some oats that do not contain glyphosate. Nature's Path Organic Honey Almond Granola, Simple Truth Organic Instant Oatmeal Original, Kashi Heart to Heart Organic Honey Toasted Cereal, Cascadian Farm Organic Harvest Berry Granola Bar, 365 Organic Old Fashioned Rolled Oats. And for the fans of Bob Red Mill Organic Old Fashioned Rolled Oats, it's a bit of a mixed bag. One of the 4 samples was glyphosate-free, but the others had some, although the amounts were tiny, like 10 to 20 parts per billion. You can also avoid consuming glyphosate by knowing the Dirty Dozen. The Environmental Working Group publishes a list known as the Dirty Dozen, which highlights the fruits and vegetables with the highest pesticide residues. Try to buy these organic where possible. You can support local farmers. Buying from local farmers who don't use glyphosate not only helps reduce your exposure, but also supports sustainable practices. If you appreciate our content, click subscribe to become part of the community and dive into our latest video. Just click right over there on your screen.